Hello, everybody. It's Leila Sun. I'm so happy to be here. As you well know, I'm a holistic Lyme and life coach for Empaths. And today I'm talking about the first step to the 5 steps to healing Lyme for Empaths in the new mastermind group. And I want to welcome everyone who decided to join today. I'm really excited that you're here. And I really hope that you will find this insightful and inspiring. I also want to say, too, that a lot of this isn't... a lot of what I'm going to share with you today is what I've learned through my own process, and I'm far from a expert on any of this, but I hope you'll appreciate my layperson's experience and what I've learned. When I had Lyme, I really didn't have money and all the testing that's available now wasn't even available 5-10 years ago. Maybe it was, but it wasn't as easily accessible as it is today. And I lived in a small town, a small mountain town, and was raising 2 kids. So it was really difficult to find all the tools that you guys have available these days. So I really had to be resourceful and creative. So I'm going to share some of those things with you today. And hopefully, again, you will enjoy those. So as I said in the first presentation, I wanted to touch more on opening detox pathways. And I'm really going to cover the bowels today because I think they're so big. I'm not going to get too much into the rest of the detox pathways because some of the tools that I'm going to teach you next you can apply to the other organs as well. And I'll try not to overwhelm you with too much information, and I hope you'll enjoy what I do have to share. So as you know, simply put, your detox pathways are simply how your body removes toxic substances. And if you're all plugged up, which is the case for everyone, really everyone, guys, let alone if you have Lyme, then we need to get things moving. And we need to support your liver, your gallbladder, lungs, urinary tract, lymphatic system, and skin. And being able to filter out the accumulation of, what I just call toxic sludge that has built up through the years and that we are also continued to be exposed to. So it's a really big deal, this detox piece. Learning how to do it should really be part of your toolkit. And, you want to detox physically, absolutely, and because it's going to affect your mood, it's going to affect your thoughts, it's going to affect your energy, it's going to affect everything. You also want to detox mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and energetically. And I'll touch on a little bit of that here and there as we go along. Okay, so we need to support all your organs because if you add more toxins to a backed up system, as you know, you will herx and you will auto-intoxicate. I believe herxing is a sign of a poor treatment program. And auto-intoxication to me is when the toxins keep circulating in your bloodstream because your organs / your detox pathways are blocked. They can't get out, so they just keep going round and round and round. And when this happens, it just exacerbates your fatigue, your brain fog, your pain, everything just gets worse. So it's a big one. And we really don't want you to auto-intoxicate. So let's get your detox organs nice and open first. So as you know, probably my favorite way to open up detox pathways, and the first area I like to start with is by making sure you have 1 to 3 bowel movements per day before you begin any treatment protocol. I don't care if you're using herbs, homeopathics, or if you're using food. You've got to be having steady bowel movements on a daily basis before you start anything. And, I touched on oxy powder last time as a really easy way to open up the colon. It's a non-habit forming, non-griping magnesium and oxygen and geranium formula that cleans out your bowels. And it does so easily and efficiently. And you have to check out your dosage. You have to figure out what it is. For some people, it's 4. Some people, I talked to someone the other day, she uses 11. She eats a lot of processed food. So you take that before bed, and you will either be waking up in the middle of the night or in the morning, and things will just move out very easily, and you will feel so much better. What I want you to do when you use this oxy powder cleanse, if this is something you decide to do, is to make sure you take minerals before and after, as well as pre and probiotics before and after, because as your body moves all of that poop out, it depletes you. So you need to replenish and build up, especially if you're magnesium deficient. Make sure to maybe take a couple sprays transdermally on your skin topically and get it in there if you're feeling really wiped out after doing that cleanse for any reason. I have noticed that at the local health food stores, at vitamin cottage, there's something called MAGO, M-A-G-O. And it is very similar to the oxy powder. It doesn't work as well, but it does work, and the price is a lot better. You could possibly start there and just see if this is your favorite way to get things moving. A lot of herbal laxatives can be very griping and uncomfortable, and they can be habit forming as well. So we don't want you using those. And as I mentioned before too, go ahead and go to globalhealingcenter.com and look up their 7-day oxy colon cleanse. And not that I want you to do a 7-day colon cleanse, but as you read that, it'll give you some really, really good ideas on how to use it on a couple times per week. So just go ahead and check that out. I think it'll be too harsh on your system if you do it daily. I would use it maybe 2 to 4 times per week, depending on how blocked your bowels are, or until you're having 1 to 3 bowel movements per day. And I use it as needed. The other way of really opening up the bowels is coffee enemas and enemas in general. How many of you here like coffee enemas? I know there's some coffee enema fans here. I personally will use them as a last resort, and they're wonderful. I mean, they just move the toxins and the sludge right out, and your energy will come back. You will feel clear. Your pain will go down. It's truly an amazing process to do it. So for those of you who have not tried it, go ahead and start with a water enema first, and if you can work your way up, go ahead and try the coffee enemas. You can learn everything you want to know from a super informative site here. It will show you where to buy the enema bags, which can be a big deal, what kind of coffee. It'll answer all of those questions just in one place. And for that, you can go to betterhealthguide.com/products/coffee-enemas. Another really great way to open up your detox pathways and get things really moving. You know, I found that if you get the bowels really moving, then the liver, the kidneys, the lymph, etc., they're also given a break automatically. So that's probably why I lean toward colon. And it's also been a pretty big issue for me, as I did almost 8 months of antibiotics at one point, and probably still have some adhesions and definitely carry a lot of stress in that area, and might even have some actual blockages in there based on my intestines. So I'm always working on that area there. Okay, so once you've done the colon cleanses, the next thing I like to use is I'm a big fan of castor oil. And when you buy castor oil, and you can buy this at the health food store, you want hexane-free, unrefined, and organic. I only use it topically. And when I get it home, the health food store should have a little BPA-free squirt bottle. And I put some in that squirt bottle and keep it by my bed or in the living room so I can use it whenever I need. For those of you who don't know, castor oil has been used in ancient Japanese healing arts and other ancient cultures dating back as far as Egypt, 1500 BC. I had no idea. I was really stunned to find that out. Castor oil is known to increase lymphocyte production, open up and stimulate lymph, reduce pain and inflammation, detoxify the liver. It's great support for uterine and ovarian health if you have young teens experiencing cramping during their monthly period, and it's great for digestive health. And I don't know about you, but for years I knew about castor oil, and I would look at that protocol of having to soak a specific flannel and only heat it to a certain degree and then get it from the kitchen to the bedroom without spilling it and staining it. And I could never do that. So through the years, I just kind of came up with my own ways of using it. So here's what I do. Before I go to bed, I pour some castor oil all over my abdomen, and I make sure to get to the surface of the liver, the gallbladder, the pancreas, and spleen. And I just start rubbing my belly clockwise in circular motions, and I kind of dig in and I feel around for lumps and any sore spots. And if I find any, then I just kind of gently apply pressure, and I kind of apply circular motions and gently kind of move it around and kind of feel into it and see what it is. Is it a pocket? Is it a cyst? Is it fecal matter? You know, what is it? And it really doesn't matter what it is. What matters is that you are able to use your hands and the healing touch from your own fingers, because as empaths, you are healers. You have that energy inside of you. Just use your focused intention, call in your guides, ask for prayer, and just ask how to move that out and clear it. And intuitively, you'll just know what to do. I will just continue to dig around and leave that area for a while and come back till it starts to move and clear up. And most of the time, it reduces in size or completely goes away. So I really do love the castor oil. If you like, you can add in some essential oils after you put the well, actually, I put the essential oil on first, but you can put it on afterwards as well. If you don't mind a little cooling, you can use peppermint. Probably one of my favorites right now is lemongrass, which is really good for candida, or eucalyptus. A little tea tree or leaves if you have it, or, you know, just use whatever you have. Across the board, essential oils are anti-microbials, some stronger than others, but they all have those properties to them, which is why they work. So use what you have, and don't use more than one at a time, and don't use more than 1 to 2 drops at a time. We don't want to stir things up any more than they already are. It just really depends on the shape that your digestive health is in. Okay, so after I spend anywhere from, I'd say, 3 to 10 minutes massaging my belly till I feel relaxed and everything is, as I call it, smooth, I then get out my cups to do some cupping. And this is a new one for you. It's a new one for me. Maybe it's not a new one for you. But cupping, for those of you who don't know, is used in Chinese medicine. It creates suction as a way of stimulating the flow of energy using either plastic cups or heated glass cups. The professionals will use the heated glass cups. I have picked up some plastic unheated cups, which you can find on Amazon, and just use those. Those are fabulous. So you run the cups, put some lotion, more lotion, maybe something not as thick as the castor oil, onto your belly again, and run the cups on your abdomen. And if you find any sort of tender spots, you know, stop there, squeeze the plastic. It'll pull up the skin, and you'll be able to tell if there's an issue there, because if it's not, it won't hurt. But if you suction up the skin and there's some stagnation or blockage, it'll be sore. And you want to breathe through it if you can, and leave it on there anywhere from 60 seconds to 3 to 10 minutes. It's really up to you. What they found is that regular abdominal cupping actually increases the digestive secretions that enhance peristaltic movement. And cupping improves appetite, digestion, bile flow, and will help to relieve constipation as well. So, you know, all of this work with your belly is really big, because it allows you to have a relationship with your tummy, where you get to know where your sore spots are, where your weak spots are, where you need to work, where things are tight or constricted. As women, most of us have shame, and some men too, around their tummy if they're not taut or perfectly tight. There's a lot of pressure in our society to have perfect bodies. And, you know, when we have Lyme, we're bombarded. It's tough. It's challenging. We're just trying to get through each day, let alone have a perfect body or have the energy to do any sort of real workout, right? So this is a beautiful way to make peace if you have issues or feel uncomfortable with your tummy. So rub and love your belly up, okay? So we're going to start with some oxy powder or enemas. Then you're going to rub your belly with castor oil and do some cupping. So you don't do this all at once, but these are all just separate tools to help relieve and open up your detox pathways, focusing on your intestines. And one more piece to this is, you know, I like to follow up the castor oil and the cupping with a really hot, old-fashioned water bottle. It feels so good to lie there and just feel all that yummy heat penetrating into your abdomen, into your intestines. And think about it, it's a part of your body that gets little attention. So allow that heat to go in there and do its work. It's stimulating, it opens everything up, it relaxes everything at the same thing. And, you know, your gut is your solar plexus. So if you're an empath, you take on other people's stuff and you tend to store it in that second and third chakra area. really, really important to pay attention to your hara, to your solar plexus, to your gut instincts, to what your gut is telling you. If, as an empath, if you don't listen to your gut, you're probably inclined to get yourself in trouble or to be very, very unhappy and miserable. And the gut has a lymphatic system and a brain. So you really, the heat really goes in there on a physical level and helps open up the lymphatic system, get things moving along with the castor oil and cupping. So it's a great combo, or just do any one of these things separately and start playing with it and start using it and seeing what works for your system. Okay, so as you know, science is finding that your gut health is responsible for your immune and mental health. So if you're experiencing a lot of anxiety, depression, sadness, work on your gut. And one of the ways to do that is by, just going to the kitchen, opening up a prebiotic, probiotic, taking a shot of sauerkraut juice. I like to eat some sauerkraut with a little raw tahini and some pumpkin seeds or some nuts if you can tolerate them. Taking a swig of kombucha, taking a couple really, really deep breaths, lying down, allowing yourself and giving yourself permission to take a mini nap or at least close your eyes for 10 minutes. Taking a nice whiff of some essential oils, a little lavender, a little lemongrass. My latest favorite is something called vetiver. That's V-E-I, let me see, T-E-R. But what I love about vetiver is it's grounding and soothing to the nervous system. So go ahead and try it next time you're in the health food store. Check out the samples of vetiver, and you do want to get it organic essential oils. So your organs need nutrients. They need vitamins. They need minerals, aminos, and healthy fats to feed and nourish them, so they have the strength, the stamina and the energy to carry out the toxins. So let's touch more in depth on some of the most nutrient-dense ways to feed your organs. Super, super important. The first thing you want to do is focus on the quality of your food that you eat. Make sure it's organic and glyphosate-free as best as you can. Try to buy locally. When I lived in a macrobiotic commune in my early 20s and I had lymphatic cancer and some other stuff going on, one of the first things I learned living in the macrobiotic household was how to have gratitude for your food, how to cook with love, to have a healing intention, to be totally present as you were cutting the carrots, to be totally present as you were cooking the seaweed, to be totally present and giving thanks to the brown rice as it was in the pressure cooker. I mean, it's probably something I took home to this day. I didn't have religious or spiritual parents, so I was never taught any of this. And to this day, it's just something that I focus on doing, and is really, really important. Not only giving thanks to the meal after it's been cooked and saying a prayer before you eat, which settles the nervous system, allows you to relax and assimilate your food better, but, giving thanks to the energy of that food. Okay. So for many people with Lyme, and even people who don't have Lyme, everyone's got leaky gut syndrome and digestive issues. So the best way to really feed your gut and assimilate nutrients is in the form of liquids. And, I touched on some of these before, but I want to go more into depth, and I want to share a couple links to favorite products. So one of my favorite ways to get liquid into the system is by using soup broths, smoothies, green drinks, and juicing. Now, I don't know how many of you can tolerate juicing, because juicing detoxes you very, very quickly. So we might not get into that too in depth, but let's just start with potassium broth. And you can just go ahead and Google it, and if not, I'm going to give you a recipe here. So it's 4 potatoes. I like to use red or yellow, organic, of course. 3 carrots, 4 stalks of celery, a bunch of parsley, and 4 quarts of water. Now, most people don't do this with their potassium broth, but I do. I add a pinch of sea salt. I add a little coconut or olive oil. I add some fresh garlic and ginger. And I go into my fridge and I kind of see what veggies are starting to go bad that I need to use up. I always add onions, by the way. Can't cook without onions. And you simmer that for anywhere from 1 to 3 hours on low. And I also like to add a little seaweed, maybe a little kombu. If you don't have kombu, a little bit of, not too much, because the seaweed can overwhelm it. Kelp powder. Just use what you have in your cupboards there and get creative and just enjoy the process. So once that's done, I will definitely taste it. I definitely want some salt, brings out all the flavors. And I definitely want a little bit of oil, because then I feel a little more satiated, and the fats, healthy fats, are really good for the body. So it's a good thing. So you can either just drink the broth first thing in the morning, maybe late in the afternoon or before bed. And sometimes what I do, because I don't like to throw the veggies out, and I actually did this morning, was I just pureed everything and drink the puree of it and just make it taste good. If you need to add a tiny bit of butter, go for it. Do some nice grass-fed organic cultured butter, and make it a treat. Detoxing and feeding and nourishing yourself should be something that you enjoy doing, you take pleasure in. And I always give leftovers to my cats and dogs, by the way. Really good for them. So my pets love carrots, they love potatoes, they love, I don't know if they love celery, broccoli, greens. My cat will dig the greens out of the compost. They love apples, they love bananas, almond butter, etc. Really good for them. So think about it, folks. What did they eat before there was commercial canned and dry kibble, right? So, okay, so I hope you enjoy that. The next thing I want to talk about is bone broth. And I just can't eat the beef bone broth, so I always use a chicken. So I'll buy a whole organic chicken. I'll boil it, or I'll simmer it for low for about an hour, and then I'll take it out and I'll pull most of the meat off. And then I'll put the carcass back in, all the bones. I'll save all the dark meat for the pets and the white meat for myself. And I'll add some veggies, whatever's in the fridge, usually carrots, onions, sometimes broccoli. I'll go out to the garden, get some greens. I'll always add some seaweed. And for some reason with the bone broth, I always add some Chinese mushrooms. I usually have some astragalus and maitake mushroom lying around, and I'll put in a couple buttons and strips of those. And I will put that on low and simmer that for 1 to 3 days. And that's a lot of broth, and the house smells incredible. And as much as I don't like to eat animal product, it's fall and winter, and I will make the bone broths. It's really good for leaky gut. My body feels really, really good on it. Sometimes it's a little strong for me, so I will dilute it with water. Remember, more is not better. Even if you get an ounce or two in once or twice a day, that's all your body needs, if that's all it can handle. So just go ahead and give it that. I did make some basmati rice with mine the other day, and it was so yummy. And if you have some seaweed, again, go ahead and add some seaweed. Seaweed is rich in minerals, and it's a chelator of heavy metals, specifically radiation. Okay, so one of the things I wanted to talk about as well regarding the broths, because soup broths and soup just in general, whether it's a potassium broth or bone broth, whether it's a broccoli and potato soup, whether it's a butternut squash soup, whether you add curry to it, whether whatever your favorite seasoning is, it's good to get that nutrition and those nutrients into your system. And backing up here, back to the potassium and bone broth, I always like to add some miso. Miso is a fermented soybean paste. It is actually rich in probiotics. It's soothing to the digestion. It's high in minerals. It's high in B vitamins, folic acid, and K. People in Japan begin their day with a bowl of miso soup, as it stimulates the digestion and energizes the body. Now, as I learned early on, again, when I was living in that macrobiotic household, there was always a pot of miso soup on first thing in the morning with usually it was only probably some kombu and maybe some carrots. And that was it. So I got in the habit early on in my 20s of having soup for breakfast. And to this day, it is my favorite breakfast. But again, the miso can really detox you quickly. So I would just start with 1/8 of a teaspoon per 8 ounces of water and see how you do. If you get dizzy or flaky or tired, then it's detoxing. And you can work your way up to a quarter to a half a teaspoon, whatever you like, whatever you're craving. So I like the Mellow White miso from Cold Mountain. It's very gentle. It's not too strong. And my other absolute favorite, I mean, these are the only two I actually keep in the house because the red ones and all the others can be very strong tasting to me, and I don't care for them. But do try them. Maybe there's something that you do like. It's called Sea Clear, S-E-A Clear. And it is a miso with a seaweed that's been tested. It has chlorella, and they call it a live food cleanse probiotic. Absolutely love the taste of it. I will put it on any of my carby vegetables as a seasoning. Sometimes I just crave it and I'll just kind of eat it by maybe a quarter teaspoon, half a teaspoonful. It's just yummy. You can find it on shamanshackherbs.com. Shaman Shack, S-H-A-C-K, herbs with an S.com -C -clear. So go ahead and check it out. You can only find this online. It's well worth it to have in your refrigerator, especially through the fall and winter months here as we go into eating more hot foods, more warming foods, more soothing foods, more soup broths, and even more animal products. So I hope you'll enjoy those misos for you miso fans out there. And if you haven't tried miso, I hope you will introduce it into your program. So regarding juicing, I'm not going to get into any recipes, but for those of you who've juiced and it's too much for your system, you detox too quickly and you can't handle it, there's a couple ways to deal with this. You can continue to juice and dilute it with water. Or, I think one of the ways just to dip your toes into it, and I have people do it, is just to, when lemons and limes go on sale, just buy a bunch of lemons and limes and juice them either separately or together. Keep it in your refrigerator, add a little stevia, a fresh sprig of peppermint. If you don't have any peppermint in your garden, then you can add a bag of peppermint tea. If you have any goji or schisandra berries, you can also add it in there and let that sit in there as well. And it's just incredibly delicious and hydrating and really good for the liver and the gallbladder, get things moving. Ideally, it's best to drink, I think, the lemon and lime in hot water. But in the summertime, go ahead and try that juicing piece out. Another simple juicing recipe to get started would just be 1 apple, half to 1 lemon, and a small piece of ginger, and see how you like that. So just keep it really simple. You can add a couple carrots if you like, and then you can slowly introduce, the leafy greens like kale or Swiss chard and see if your body likes that. In the beginning, I only did the fruits because that's all I wanted to do. And for years, I just juiced, fruits and maybe carrots. And now I'm at the point where I just can't get enough straight up greens with maybe a lemon and a green apple. So as you progress and you get healthier, you will crave healthier and healthier foods, and your taste buds will begin to change. Okay, so the other 2 ways of getting really easy to assimilate nutrients into your systems that are going to feed your organs, make them strong so you can carry those toxins out and rebuild your organs, is by making a green drink. What is a green drink? A green drink is starting with water or coconut water, and you can put this in your Vitamix or your blender. You don't need a special blender for this. I add anywhere from 1 to 3 carrots. I'll add a couple leaves of kale. I'll add a half peeled lemon, maybe an apple, a stalk or 2 of celery. Whatever I have in the fridge that's ready to go, and kind of based on my taste buds. There were years I could not eat celery at all, and now I love it. So go slow, go easy. The carrots make it sweeter. The apples make it sweeter. If you don't like it, add some more apple. And feel free to add a couple drops of stevia. There's nothing wrong with using the clear liquid, unflavored stevia. Just go really slow though, because it can kind of sweeten it up really, really fast. So take your time with that. And you can either just drink this straight up as a green drink. And if it's too strong, I recommend just swigging on it, just taking an ounce here and there instead of drinking the whole thing. And ideally, it's best to drink it all at once if you make maybe 8 ounces. But honestly, I'll probably drink 4 ounces in the morning and then put it back in the fridge, and maybe later in the afternoon, drink the rest of it. So take your time with it. One of the other things I like to do with my green drink to just really amp it up is to add a non-GMO meal replacement mix. And I wanted to share with you my latest superfood protein mixes that I absolutely adore and love. And they have a lot of cacao ones in these. And I do a lot of these different ones. I've gone to several longevity conferences with David Wolf, and they're always touting and promoting, Green Force, and lots of great companies come through. But hands down, this company here is my favorite, and I'm really excited to share them with you. They're called SarvaSuperfood.com. So that's SAA, 2 A's, RVA Superfood.com. And I got the sample packet, and I love every single one of them. And by the way, their vitamin C powder is amazing. But there's one called Sacred Strength. And what I'll do is, the directions will say to add a scoop of these mixes or a spoon of it. I don't generally tend to use more than 1 or 2 max teaspoons, because what I found is it's just too much for my system. It overwhelms it. And less is definitely more in this case. And gosh, my body feels really, really good on this stuff. So I wanted to share that particular company with you. There's one other company I want to share with you as well. It's called Oriya, Oriya, and they make a blend called Summit Energizer. And this has got 3 ingredients in it, and that's it. It's fermented organic beets, organic maca powder, and organic turmeric. So what the beets do is they clean out your blood and a whole lot more. What the maca does is it feeds the thyroid and gives you energy. And as you all know, the turmeric is tremendous for inflammation and pain. And you can add that to your green drink, or what I'll do is I'll just fill up a bottle of filtered water, and I'll add, honestly, maybe a half a teaspoon to 16 ounces of water, and I'll sip on that throughout the day. They also have a really yummy formula. It's just greens, and it's called 100% greens. So again, that company is OryaOrganics.com, ORYAOrganics.com. So go ahead and check them out. I think they're local to Boulder, but they do have a website. It's really important to go out there. What I found is a lot of the meal replacements and the vitamin mineral powder mixes that are on the retail store shelves these days are really lousy. Garden of Life got bought out. I talked to one of the reps. They're still integrity, she says, but it was a large company who bought them out. So I find it questionable. I do find it really well worth it to find these smaller local companies who have a lot of integrity and to really support them. The quality of their products far surpasses what I can find on the shelves of even the health food stores. But if you're new to all this, then by all means, go ahead and start and make it easy and find something that appeals to you. Do your research and start with something and get those vitamins and minerals and nutrients into your system through powder mixes and through Mother Earth, through Pachamama. Okay. So next to the green drink, in terms of liquid nutrients, are smoothies. I'm not talking smoothies the old-fashioned way, with milk and bananas and such. I'm talking starting with a base of water or coconut water. Find your favorite organic frozen berry blend. I'll usually add a banana. There's days where I love bananas and weeks I can't stand them. So it just depends on my mood and my taste buds, I guess you could say. And I'll blend it all up, and I'll add a tiny bit of stevia or not. It really depends on the fruit and how sweet it is or not, and what I'm craving or not. And to that, I do like to add Body Ecology protein probiotic shake. So if you go to Body Ecology by Donna Gates, and I studied with her, by the way, she's awesome. She was also at Longevity Conference. She's just a wealth of knowledge, and I took her program. And her probiotic protein shake is rich in minerals and seaweeds and pre and probiotics. So I'll just add maybe a teaspoon of that to my smoothie. And sometimes I'll add some collagen powder. And sometimes I will add some whey powder. And I do want to take a moment to talk about whey powder. I know it's controversial, but there have been times when my body really, really craves it. And I don't do well with dairy. But they say that this is the only cold temperature, raw processed organic milk whey protein out there. And for some reason, my body seems to do really, really well with it as compared to other dairy products. For those of you who don't know, whey powder is pretty amazing. It increases antioxidant production in your own body. It eliminates harmful radiation and chemtrails, and it detoxifies metal and reduces inflammation, among a whole lot of other things. So One World Whey, go check out their site. They're pretty awesome. oneworldwhey.info is where you can find out more about that really great company and start using the whey powder. You can try whey just separately. I like the vanilla. And you can add it to your smoothie and see how you do. And again, I would never use the entire scoop. I don't even use the half a scoop. I use about a quarter of the scoop. So more is not better. Just get it into your system consistently in little pieces and little bits and little sips, I should say. Okay, so I kind of want to touch on, after you open your detox pathways, and we've touched on how to nourish and build your organs through easy to assimilate liquids, through soups and smoothies and green drinks. And we've touched on the importance of using vitamins and minerals to get them open and to nourish and feed them so they have the stamina and energy to carry toxins out. I do want to touch a little bit on being an empath and how stress and anxiety affects the ability for your detox pathways to stay open. As an empath, you pick up other people's energy. You pick up their moods, you pick up their vibes, you pick up their stress, you pick up their anxiety, on top of your own stress and anxiety with whatever is going on in your life, right? What I want you to know is that this stress, constant stress and anxiety, causes, a nonstop fight or flight response that takes a toll on your adrenals, your immune system, and your nervous system. It keeps all of those parts of you from functioning properly, let alone optimally. So what really happens is when you get stressed, your body contracts. And when your body contracts, everything slows down. So you already have compromised detox pathways, which really need to be opened up and expand. And when you're stressed, everything contracts and slows down, right? So the more you can get a handle on and learn how to navigate and deal with and handle the stress in your life, the better it is and the easier it is going to be for your lymphatic system, for your kidneys, for your liver, and especially your poor gut and your digestion to really be able to move things out. When you don't feel safe in your life, when you're feeling stressed and unsure about your future, when you're not getting results from Lyme disease and you feel like you're never going to recover, everything starts to really, really shut down, right? So really, really important to find ways to open everything up, not just your physical body, but to really start to track your thoughts. What are you thinking? And start to reshift your thoughts. Start tracking what emotions you're feeling. And when you start going down the rabbit hole of anxiety and sadness, depression, go ahead and acknowledge it, understand where it's coming from. Also know that it's your emotional guidance system. It's giving you a message, but don't allow it to victimize you, okay? You can indulge in those negative down feelings for a while, but after a while, it's going to take more energy to do that than it is to witness those feelings coming up and shift them, to do a reset emotionally and mentally. When you're able to do that, that's going to help your physical body as well to really, really open up. Empaths will need to release other people's emotions as well as their own. So I think, we just touched on that. And what I really want to touch on is I really want you to learn how to discern how much are your feelings and how much are someone else's feelings that are coming on. I always like to share this story. A couple months ago, I was putzing around in the kitchen making dinner. I was in a happy mood. And all of a sudden, this sadness just washed over me to the point where I thought I was just going to cry on the spot. I mean, I tracked what I was thinking and what I was feeling and what was going on in my life, and it was incongruent with what I was feeling. And I'm wondering how many of you have had that happen. So I thought, okay, well, I'm just going to cry and have a release. I couldn't even barely cry. And when I did, I just got no release. It was really odd. It really came out of nowhere. And then I hopped on the computer, and my friend in Boulder emailed me, and she said, oh my gosh, she said, I just felt this incredible sadness just come over me about 10 minutes ago. And then later in the day, I spoke with my massage therapist, and he said, I was crying at 3:30 in the afternoon. I never cry. So that discernment, I can't tell you exactly what it was. I'm going to say it was something in the collective. It was in the air that was affecting those of us who are sensitive. Discernment is super, super important. And you can't discern unless you know how you're feeling. If you don't know how you're feeling and someone else's feeling comes into your energy field and affects you, you're not going to know the difference, right? So when people work with me in my 4-month program, one of the biggest pieces I teach them how to do is to discern. And there's a lot to discern, and I'll touch on it really quickly. You're going to discern your ancestral, your maternal and paternal issues that are affecting you. You're going to discern your family's issues, your immediate mother and father issues, then your present family issues, your kids' issues, your friends, family, tribe, and then out to the collective again. So there's a lot of discernment that needs to go on for empaths. Empaths, you can't turn off your ability to turn everything on and to be tuning into everything all the time. But you can learn to understand how much is yours and how much is someone else's, and to set really healthy psychological boundaries and energetic boundaries. So again, as an empath, opening detox pathways is going to be far more than just working on your physical body. The more you work on your mental, emotional, and energetic body, practicing spiritual hygiene, which I'll talk about a little later, the more it's going to help your physical detox pathways to open. Because again, if you don't feel safe, your body's going to continue to shut down. It's going to hole up. It's going to cocoon. It's going to want to hide. It's not going to want to come out, right? And why is that? And I don't know why that is. It's different for each one of you. And again, that's part of the work that I do in my 4-month program and help you with. So one of the ways is empaths, one of the simplest ways, there's a whole lot of different tools to have in your toolkit as an empath, but probably one of my favorite ways is to use essential oils for the emotional piece and to keep your emotions kind of open. And if you're having down emotions or sad emotions, you know, absolutely grieve them, feel them, honor them, embrace them. And if you can't really move them out, then get those oils out and do some very intentional prayer and meditation work and talk to them and ask them, what are you telling me? What's your message? Okay, I got it. And then go ahead and shift. We want to shift those emotions, because once you do, then things become more expansive and you open up. And when you are open, then the healing really, really can begin. So once we have the detox pathways opened up, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, we want to work on antimicrobials. So there's a whole lot of different types of antimicrobials that I want to touch on here. Hold on, bear with me. I'm looking for something here. Okay, I found it. Thanks for waiting for me there. So it's time to introduce the antimicrobials. What are antimicrobials? Antimicrobials are simply herbs or homeopathics or supplements that go after the microbes. And the microbes are bacteria, viruses, yeast, fungus, mold, parasites, and retroviruses. And I'm sure there's stuff out there that we don't even know about and haven't discovered, and other people discovered, but I haven't known about or brought up right now. But those are the main culprits right there. And, you know, what I want to say is I don't believe on this, in this, like, this, how do I want to say this? I want you to go slowly. I want you to go gently. I've worked with so many clients who come in, they've had loads of antibiotics. They believe they just have to hit it hard, and in 6 weeks or 2 months, if they take enough herbs or homeopathics or antibiotics, they're just going to kill it. As you all know, I'm sure you're smiling and grinning. We know it doesn't work that way. So I want you to go really slow, and I'm going to touch on some of, probably a whole lot of, some of my favorite herbs for all of those microbes, and specifically for the Lyme and co-infections. And I'm going to just start to list some of these. And as an empath, what I want you to do, if you're not using any of these, or even if you are, maybe some of these will be new, maybe you haven't heard of all of them, I want you to just take a moment and take a deep breath and kind of tune in. And I'm going to read these off, and I want you just to note to yourself which one jumps out at you and which one do you feel like you have a kinship with, that you want to explore some more. At the same time, I also want you to explore and note any that you feel strong resistance or dislike for. And then after we're done, or next couple days, I want you to note that and go research it. I have found that those resonances are very important to make the connection with, and to honor, and to kind of put it on your bucket list, and to say, I think I need to pick some of that up. You might not need it right away, but down the road in 3 to 6 months, you might be sitting there on your shelf and you'll go, oh, that's the perfect herb that I need. So in terms of Lyme and antimicrobials for Lyme, I'm just going to read, the classics, which are Japanese knotwood, Andographis, Cemento, Cumanda, Banderol, Quina, garlic, and good old olive leaf. So I'm going to state those again. Japanese knotwood, that's K-N-O-T, wood. Ando, A-N-D-O, graphis, it's G-R-A-P-H-I-S. Cemento, S-A-M-E-N-T-O. Garlic, olive leaf. Cumanda, that's C-U-M-A-N-D-A. Banderol, B-A-N-D-E-R-A-L. And Quina, Q-U-I-N-A. You can find some of these on the Nutramedix label, Nutra, N-U-T-R-A-M-E-D-I-X. And just go ahead and start researching them. I have a great connection for the olive leaf. I can't think of it at the moment. If that's one that's really jumping out at you, please contact me and I'll give you a really high quality link to that one in particular. And even before I would have anyone go on any of these Lyme specific herbs here, what I really like to do, especially with very sensitive empaths and sensitives in general, is to slowly build up their immune system using immunomodulators. And my favorite immunomodulators, hands down, are the Chinese herbs. I mean, they're just amazing because not only do they work on the immune system, they're bridges. They work on a lot of different aspects all at the same time. They are known to take energy from the earth to the sky, and from the sky to the earth, and into the heart and into the mind, and energetically, and work in the spirit world. They are amazing, amazing medicine. So I would start with my number one favorite, which is reishi, R-E-I-S-H-I, mushroom. My next favorite would be schizandra. That is spelled S-C-H-I-Z-A-N-D-R-A. My next favorite would probably be chaga. Chaga is pretty amazing, and I might talk about that a little later. Condonopsis, so it's C-O-N-D-O-N-O-P-S-I-S. And then, of course, the lovely astragalus, A-S-T-R-A-G-A-L-U-S. And I think I mentioned before, I did a little studying with Ron Teagarden from Dragon Herbs. His wife is Chinese. They get most and source most of their herbs from China. They have a lot of integrity. They love what they do. I love to support this company. They're out in LA, but you can find them online, of course. And just peruse his website, dragonherbs.com. And probably almost everyone that I work with, I like to put them on one of his products called Supreme Protector. And Supreme Protector has probably 4 Chinese herb immunomodulators, which means if your immune system's down, it helps to regulate and bring it up. And if it's high, then, and super sensitive, it kind of brings it down. The Supreme Protector is probably one of the few cases where I would give somebody more than 3 or 4 herbs at one time, especially since they're so sensitive and their autoimmune system is just on high all the time. So go ahead and check that out. Let's see, homeopathics, I think I touched on before. You can check out DesBio, DESBIO. I know there's lots of other homeopathic companies out there doing some Lyme work, but they are my absolute favorite. And they work for some people and they don't work for others. They have kits for Lyme-specific bacteria, EBV, chronic fatigue, herpes virus. It just goes on and on. You'll have to check out their site. You do need to work with a practitioner, I think, to get their products. They also, like I mentioned before, have a really excellent Virus Plus and Bacteria Plus formula that I love for the winter season. So if you can get a hold of those, stock up on them now before winter's gunk starts hitting your friends or your family, let alone yourself. Because as you know from stated earlier, there's all sorts of underlying viruses that underlie the Lyme bacteria that need to be addressed. So the more support you can give your system, the better. You know, just in terms of liposomals, I love them. Probably my favorite 3 to work with that help with the immune system would be, of course, vitamin C, super antiviral. As you know, it strengthens the immune system and the whole body, among other things. Responsible for collagen production, responsible for dental health, gum health. My other favorite one would be liposomal B complex. Feeds the nervous system. So B12 shots, sublingual B12, and B complex, super, super important to soothe anxiety, depending on methylation issues. And then there's, of course, glutathione, which helps your body detox, making sure you don't have sulfur issues or a lot of mercury in your system. And my 2 favorite liposomal delivery companies would be Quicksilver. And I rotate between Quicksilver because I'm here in Boulder and Chris Shade is down here close to me, and Lipospheric. And I have to say, I kind of like Lipospheric better. I'm not sure. It comes in little packets and it's just really easy to tear it open, put it in. And I like the flavor. Actually, I used to gag on glutathione, and now I almost crave it and love the really sulfury flavor. So lipo is LYPOSPHERIC. All right, so I want to touch on, I'm not going to go too deep into this, but DMSO and MMS. And the way I refer to both of those as they are broad spectrum antimicrobials. DMSO I really only use as a spray and topically, and you have to be very, very careful. It's great for virus and bacteria. It's really great for dental issues because your teeth have like 2 miles long of tubules in each one of your teeth, so it's very hard for antibiotics to penetrate any of that. And what I have found is using the DMSO on my gums. I've actually put an antibiotic on my gum when I was having major dental issues and then used the DMSO to drive it in there deeper, and it was pretty amazing. It staved off. You know, it's good and bad. I really needed to have that tooth extracted, but it kept me from doing it for another 3 or 4 months. That's how well it worked. So go ahead and look up DMSO. And MMS is Miracle Mineral Supplement. There's a lot of people who've gotten rid of Lyme with it, a lot of people who keep Lyme at bay. Again, it's a broad spectrum antimicrobial. It's very, very strong. It's caustic. I wouldn't recommend doing more than 1 drop twice a day. You really have to do your research and know how to use it. But as I mentioned, either one of those, if they ping for you, if you're getting a charge or resonance, or you're suddenly lit up and curious, absolutely go ahead and check it out. And if you have any questions about either one of those, let me know, and I'll give you some reputable links, and we can talk about how to use that. And again, you're going to get a lot of conflicting information, quack watches all over them. And I'm not going to go into any more about that, but it's really nice to have on hand in your toolkit. So please do check those out. Okay, so there's different ways to take the herbs, right? So you've got your capsules, you've got your tinctures, you've got infusions, herbal infusions, you've got your homeopathic, and then you can take them through transdermally. You could just put it on your skin. I, a lot of times, like to use a spray, depending on what it is. So capsules, if you buy your herbs in capsules, what I have found ideally is the best thing to do is open up your capsule and put it in some water. Okay, so open it up and put it in some water. What does this do? Or drink it with tea. It hits the bloodstream right away and bypasses the GI. Since you already have a compromised GI system, it's best to do everything through liquid. Tinctures are herbs that have been covered and macerated with Everclear or vodka or an alcohol of the person's choice. And it sits for about anywhere for 4 to 6 months. You start on the new moon, you end on the full moon. And then it's pressed and it's kept in a pretty little purple glass tincture jar. And average dose for most people is to work your way up to 15 drops twice a day. Now you want to be muscle tested for your exact dosage. If it says 15 drops twice a day, I would start, and you have not been muscle tested, I would start at 1 drop a day and then work your way up to 1 drop twice a day. And then 2 drops twice a day. And just listen to your body and see how it feels. You know, you might do really well at 5 drops twice a day, and then that 7 drops just sends you over the edge. You just go right into a herx, or you feel lousy, and that's okay. You don't have to stop taking it. Go ahead and take a break, and maybe start at 3 drops twice a day. This isn't a race. This isn't a competition. This disease is really teaching you how to really listen to your body again and to honor and respect it. And one of the easiest ways to do that is by really learning how wise your body is, and know that it teaches you each and every day how to reset and how you need to recalibrate yourself. So if you listen to that, that's the best biofeedback there is your own body. So you don't have to go running and have a freak out and a meltdown. Just back off of it for a couple days, take a break, wait till you feel better, and then start to introduce it slowly. Sit with the bottle, bring it up to your heart chakra, your thymus gland, and close your eyes and ask, okay, body, do I want this today? If so, how many drops do I take? Do I take it once a day, twice a day, 3 times a day? And, you can kind of even ask, do I want this in the morning, in the afternoon, or maybe at nighttime? It's okay. Don't worry about doing protocols the exact way that people tell you to do them. If your body's reacting and having bad responses, your body isn't the master here, not everyone outside of you. Listen, just listen. I love homeopathic herbal formulas or homeopathics because they're so gentle for my really, really sensitive, fragile clients who can't handle anything else, or for my elder clients or my very young kids clients. And even for me, I love the homeopathics. And I don't work much with the classical Lidum and such, but I do work with the homeopathic blends formulas like from Des Bio, and I absolutely love them. If herbs are too strong, tinctures are too strong, then go ahead and try some homeopathic remedies and just go really slow. It looks like I skipped over infusion here. An herbal infusion is when you take the dried herb, say, I like to make dandelion tea. It's one of my favorites. I'm trained as a clinical herbalist. I love dandelion. I love her flowers. I love her seeds. She's just so beautiful, and she just emanates such positive, lovely energy. And, my liver, gallbladder, and kidneys are always in need of support. So what I like to do is take 4 cups of water, and typically it's 1 teaspoon to 1 cup of water. But again, as you're probably going to guess what I'm going to say, I will add 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon per cup of water. So that will be 2 teaspoons to 4 cups of water. So before you add that in, you're going to bring 4 cups of water to a rolling boil. You're going to take it off the heat. You're going to wait till the rolling boil has subsided. You're going to add your 4 teaspoons of herb, whatever it is. It could be chamomile or passion flower or burdock root or milk thistle or echinacea, whatever you're using. And then you put a lid on it and you let it sit, ideally overnight. So you can make this tea before you go to bed. And in the morning, you take off the lid, you get a strainer and you pour it into a cup. And you can warm it up in the morning with a little bit of lemon, or you can just go ahead and put it in the refrigerator to last there about 3 days. So that is an herbal infusion. That is one of the most inexpensive ways to maintain your self-care and to maintain your organs and to keep things moving. Never underestimate dandelion. It is wonderful for the liver. It helps with bile secretion. It helps with constipation. It helps remove toxins. It helps with heart issues and circulations. Just make sure it's organic and is quality. When you open a bottle, I'm not going to buy a bottle, but if you do open a bottle, it should smell really earthy. If you do buy it in bulk, it should be stored in the dark, not in the bright light, and in a glass jar. And, you know, just take a couple and put it on your tongue, and it should have a pretty strong flavor. If it doesn't, don't buy it. If it doesn't have a strong smell, don't buy it. And then the other way to put these herbs into your body, if you're really, really sensitive, I have someone right now who's super, super sensitive. So what she'll do is she'll take 1 drop of an herbal formula and put it in her belly button. Or 1 drop under her armpits into her lymphatic system. Or what I'm having her do too is the spray. So I like to use, for instance, the DMSO in a spray. And you can use several of the herbs in the spray. Just make sure they're strained really, really well so the spray doesn't back up. Okay, so those are the different ways to take the herbs that we're talking about. Oops. Okay, so you can put your herb capsules in food. If you don't like the taste of them, if you don't like the tincture and it's too strong, I would recommend making a cup of herbal detox tea and put it in there. If you don't even like it in there and it's too much, you can add it to your favorite soup. Any sort of favorite food, you can open up a capsule and just try to disguise it in your cauliflower or broccoli rice. You can take herbal baths and you can take herbal foot soaks. And again, you can use it as spray. I love this picture here. I think it's great. This is what all of us people with Lyme and empaths need to be doing, is just that deep, deep relaxation with some magnesium flakes and some Epsom salts and some baking soda and some essential oils. And by the way, I'm just going to give you kind of my detox bath recipe, which is equal parts what I just said. Now, even though magnesium isn't Epsom salts, there's a difference between the Epsom salts you find and magnesium chloride, and they make a really huge difference. So I do equal parts magnesium chloride flakes, Epsom salts, and baking soda. And what I'll do is I'll get a big gallon pickle jar. I'll mix them all together, and while I'm mixing them all together, I will add lots of lavender oil or lemongrass oil. So it smells really, really good. And if you're so inspired, go ahead and add some powdered seaweed. And you can also add some borax. Now, in the old days, borax is just minerals. Go ahead and do the research. You can use it for clothes, but Rosemary Gladstar, who was my herb teacher way back when, always did her bath salts with borax and seaweed. And that kind of freaked me out years later, so I had to do the research. So if you feel inclined, go ahead and check it out. Whatever you do, I want you to take care of yourself, get in that bath tonight, and just relax. Whatever it takes, just give yourself permission. Set that timer. Don't get out of the bath any sooner than 30 minutes, and just enjoy. Put 1 to 2 cups of that bath salt mix in there, and have a lovely, lovely evening. Okay, so next I want to talk about dosing, and I think I touched on it already. If you're using capsules, again, and they're saying if the bottle says, or your doctor says, oops, I can't say doctor, and the bottle says 2 twice a day, depending on what's going on with you, what am I going to ask you to do? I'm going to say, open up that capsule and take half a capsule once a day. See how you feel. Up it to half a capsule twice a day. Do that for a week or two, and then just gradually build yourself up depending on how your body feels and what it's telling you. Again, if it's a tincture and they say 15 drops, start with a quarter of that dose in tea or hot water. And you can put it in tea, or you can make tea and drink the tea, but again, start with a quarter dose. So the tea is probably the least strong of all of these. The tincture is probably the strongest. Now, by the way, if you're using a tincture, there's always this concern about alcohol content for recovering people and for people who have liver issues. And what they say is the amount of alcohol is the same as they find in a banana. If you're still concerned, pour hot water over it, and it's supposed to release all the alcohol. Really not a big issue unless you are having serious liver issues. Then you want to start with probably just a straight up tea. And again, just increase up to tolerance. And if you have a reaction, reduce the dose immediately. Go slow. More is not better. Awesome. Okay, so we're wrapping up here. What I want to share is and recap the importance of opening your detox pathways, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and energetically, knowing that we're all those parts and they're all connected. So as you open up the physical, it'll help the emotional. As you open up the mental, it'll help the energetic, and vice versa. So really important to address all these different aspects of yourself, because we're not just a physical body, right? Way back when I started a Lyme Warrior meetup back here in Boulder, and my platform specifically said, this is a meetup for uplifting, and we're here to address people mentally, emotionally, and energetically as well. And I asked that everyone go around, and I had a timer, and share 3 things that worked for them. And you can guess what happened. Every single person shared their story and dumped and vomited. And I had to remind every person to come up and share with something that really worked for them. And most of them couldn't even come up with it. So, there's not judgment there, but what I want to say is we have to be really careful when you're chronically ill not to get wrapped up in feeling victimized by this disease, to realize that this disease is a spiritual initiation. It is a rite of passage. And then we're not just only a physical body. And I think that's what happens when people lose sight of their emotions and their thoughts and their energy and their spirituality. They just get stuck in this cycle of identifying with and just focusing on their physical body. They get stuck in this crazy, crazy loop. So one of the pieces of the work that I do is help them pull out of that loop. They're in a lot of fear. They're in a lot of anxiety from their own lives. And those microbes cause a lot of those issues as well. So that being said, let's get on those anti-microbials and start to reduce your microbial load using herbs and homeopathics and some really nutritive liposomals. Get them right in there into the fat cells. Again, take it slow. Be consistent. This is not a race. Listen to your body. Your body is the wisest, most awesome biofeedback center, and this disease is going to bring you full circle if you really want to heal, to the acknowledgement and honoring that about yourself. More is not better. And to remember to use emotional freedom technique, which is tapping, to get out your favorite essential oils. You don't need to buy any. Use what you have at home. Use those up, and then really take your time and only introduce one thing at a time, something that your body really gets excited about. If you don't have any of these tools, the cheapest and most inexpensive way to really reduce your anxiety and stress is lying down horizontal, close your eyes, watching your mind just rattle off, and just close your eyes and do some deep, deep breathing and allow your nervous system to settle the best that it can. I know when you're being hit with an overload of metals and chemicals and EMFs and microbes, it can be difficult to do, but the sooner you learn how to do it, regardless of what you're being bombarded with, the healthier you're going to be. It's a tool that you absolutely have to have in your toolkit. And grounding. If you just can't turn your mind off, probably the quickest way is to get your feet in water outside, in a stream, in a lake, in the ocean. If you can't do that, then go ahead and get a huge blanket and lie down on the ground or water your garden in your bare feet. Just get out in nature, because that will ground you electromagnetically quicker than anything else. It will pull all the stress hanging out in your head from all these thoughts, because, you know, in Western culture, we're all wrapped up with our physical body and our mental body. And Eastern culture, they're wrapped up with their heart and their spirit. And Americans just spend way too much time in their head. So electromagnetically, let's ground all that stress and mental chatter down all the way through the soles of your feet. And you can't do that mentally. You need to do it physically by getting your feet on the ground. Okay, beautiful. And then you're going to need to practice what I'm going to talk about more in the next couple steps, which is spiritual hygiene on a daily basis. And so I'm really looking forward to speaking more about that next time. I'm so happy you joined me for this first step. I'm so happy you are all part of this community and this mastermind group. I was debating opening up a Facebook group just for this group. If it's something that you want and more than 4 of you send me an email and say, yes, that's what you want, great. If not, I'm not going to do that. I understand. Please understand that some of the steps will be done live and some of them will be pre-recorded. For reasons I choose not to disclose today, I had to pre-record this. And because of that, I know you have questions and I wasn't able to answer them live. So please feel free to send me an email with any of your questions and I'll get back with you as soon as I can. Have a beautiful, wonderful day. You're all lovely, lovely empaths. Sending hugs and kisses to you. Lots of love. Until next time, I look forward to seeing you next Monday. Blessings. Bye-bye.